Yep.
Looking for Bo?
Yeah.
Hi! You looking for a carrot?
Hi.
Really think it's a girl. So how's work? Any weirdos? How's your night? I want a baby too. I want a baby too. A little wobbly down there, huh?
I know. Sorry.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
So
I thought I'd be respectful and pour a cup of tea just in your honor.
Well, I'm having a cup of coffee.
I
Exactly the
got,
opposite.
I got my tea too.
So it's so Sean, is that Alexander or like Alex? What do you prefer?
Alex is totally fine.
Alex, yeah,
Great.
Yeah. Great. No, so good to speak to you. Congratulations on the movie. I watched it last night. It's great. I had a lot of fun with it. So congratulations on that. So I mean, the first question I want to ask you is, I believe that you kind of got together and brainstormed the idea. I think the original idea was Sean's idea, but I think you kind of Sean said, "Come to the beach. Let's get a few waves. I've got this idea." Is that kind of how the whole thing? Did you have the whole idea kind of planned out, or did it all really kind of flourish once you sat on the beach and chatted together?
You want me to take that, Alex, or you go ahead?
Yeah. No, go for it. Go for it.
I say because Alex wasn't planning on staying in Los Angeles. He was planning on just visiting and cruising along. And I'm like, buddy, if you stay, I know you can act. I would love to have you stay. I will write you a film you can star in. It would be the perfect film for you. It's going to be something nobody's done before. If you're down, I don't know if we can pull it off, but I think we can pull it off. So please stay.
Oh yeah, you definitely pulled it off. Yeah.
I was on a road trip at the time, kind of like a 2-month journey. I was supposed to go from New York all the way around the country back to New York. And I made it to LA and Sean proposed this project. And so I decided to stay for a little, and that little turned into 2 years.
It's quite curious. I mean, but before that, I know that Sean, I know that you've always kind of really been dedicated to movies. You always wanted to be a movie maker since you were a kid, no? And then I think you worked in construction yourself to be able to make these movies, no? But at the same time, Alex, I think you studied the same as me. You studied a degree in psychology first, no? Before any of this kind of came to fruition, no?
Yeah,
so can you
that's
tell me a little bit
correct.
about how your paths crossed? One of you working construction to kind of create this career for yourself, and then you studying psychology to end up falling into acting.
Go for it, Sean.
Well, we met in New York, actually, working private events, always behind the bar. Alex is a very prominent theater actor, or at least in my eyes. I didn't know much about theater. He was always in front of the camera or on stage, and I was always behind the camera or behind the stage, I guess. And I think we immediately just hit it off because we both, had higher aspirations and we both like to work hard, I guess. So kind of seemed like a natural fit. And then when the world collapsed and we both decided to come out here, it kind of just worked out for the best.
So I mean, Sean, you said that you wanted to write a film for Alex. What was it about Alex that gave you the idea, or was it the other way around? You had an idea that you thought would be a perfect fit for Alex, and then kind of how did the story progress from there?
Yeah, I just knew that it would be very easy to just beat the hell out of Alex, and he would do anything that I would ask. So nobody else could really do that. But no, I think I knew Alex would be game to do a lot and push himself. So I knew that I could push the story as far as I wanted to within reason, where he would be, okay, I'll do a lot, but I won't do that. So I think, having Alex, with me from the beginning was like, okay, I know I can push him both emotionally and physically. So that kind of let me do stuff while in the writing process that I knew a lot of other actors would not be able to do. Like in the original draft of the script, I had him shoot his face off and not shoot him in the split. So that was kind of like, and then that's where he drew the line. He's like, no, absolutely not. That's not going to happen.
Sean's creativity is truly boundless. And I think one of the jobs as being an actor and a producer on this was being like, all right, let's reel it in. Let's reel it into something that we can actually pull off. Because like we would have gone above and beyond, like Sean said. Like the original concept is I end up shooting myself and ripping half of my face off, and like we don't have cuts to work with, and I just couldn't conceive how I could possibly have like this blood splurting type wound coming out of my face without really taking the time to do that correctly. So we decided to go in another direction, but yeah, I had to reel Sean in quite a few times.
I mean, was it always going to be it's a one-shot movie? Was that always your intention? Because obviously you say you're going to shoot your face off. If that one take doesn't work, the next one you've got to get rid of that, do the whole prosthetics thing over again. So was that something that was in your mind from the word go when you were writing the script? Because I mean, that's just a crazy script to pull off in itself, not even thinking about it being a one take movie.
For sure.
No?
I think from the beginning, we knew our limits, as far as budgets were concerned. So in my eyes, having a true one take film with absolutely zero cuts was absolutely pivotal to telling the story. Because I think that, like I said, having no money to spend on this project, having that is kind of what set us apart from everyone else. It kind of just gave credence to the film before anybody watched it. So yes, that was kind of the intention from the get-go, just because we didn't really have any big spectacle to offer, but that's something that we can do with hard work. It doesn't take money, it just takes practice. So yeah, it was from the beginning.
And I know that, I mean, you've been in the business, you've been in the industry making movies a long time. So I imagine you made a lot of friends on the way. Was kind of knowing those people pivotal to all of these disparate characters that we see throughout the film? All these characters, were they kind of people that you kind of knew and you thought, hey, we could write a sketch for them in the car? Or did that all come about kind of the script and then you found the people afterwards? How did that come about?
For sure. And it's really funny because in New York, Alex and I knew dozens of just tremendous actors that we could absolutely put in these roles. And I did have in my mind when writing, but realistically, I think the only people I probably had in mind while writing this were Alex, of course, the opening gay throuple, that one in the middle, Nicholas, is a good friend of mine, and I knew he would kill that role. And my girlfriend, Paige, who played Tara, that's pretty much her. That's what she's like. So with her yelling at Alex, as scared as he is, that's my daily life. But no, so in all the other roles, we could have cast immediately in New York, but we were in Los Angeles. So it was like, oh my gosh, now we have to try to find these people. So finding and building that team was a challenge that we weren't necessarily used to, because we're surrounded with such talented people, but we really took our time to find the people that we knew and could fit these roles properly.
And then Alex, obviously, the whole team is laying down the gauntlet to do this one take film. You having a bit of a theatrical background after having studied something completely different previously, how was it coming into this, knowing that it was going to be in front of the camera, but also knowing that it was all going to be sort of real time? I guess that kind of lends itself to theatrical production in a way as well, no?
Yeah, I was definitely grateful to have a background in theater and it's kind of telling a story chronologically and in a long form way helps, like just that background in that helped kind of allow me to pace the story well and to understand the arc as you're going without having to cut and re-scramble or shoot it out of order. So the theater background definitely helped. And as far as like relating to the camera, which I hadn't done a ton of film before this, but the camera was stagnant. So there was really only one frame. So I kind of, in the same way in theater, you kind of aim to tell the story for that center section of the audience. And it was the same, the camera was the center section of the audience. So it was almost as if I was on stage the whole time. I didn't have to think about close-ups. I didn't have to think about long shots. I didn't have to really get in my brain about that. So it was, that fixed frame made it feel like theater as well.
And having your co-stars behind you, was that kind of a problem? Did that make it more problematic for you to kind of create this chemistry with them, having them behind you and the camera in front of you?
I'd say a little, but I was kind of really just focused on driving the car for a lot of it. And
yeah.
And when you do cast a stellar cast, we tried to look for people who also had theater backgrounds, so they understood how to stay in the moment and drive like through a scene, so that like if something was a little bit of a hiccup, they really just were dropped in and living in the world. And so really it's a testament to the other actors that we had on this for kind of understanding how to get that energy from the back seat up to the camera and kind of keep that car alive.
And I will add too, because he keeps looking in the rear view mirror. There was no rear view mirror. We had to take it off so we could see Alex's face more. So every time he's looking up, he's looking at nothing. So props to you.
I want to get into the intricacies a little bit about actually filming this. I believe you had a little bit of time to kind of rehearse on Zoom, then in a car park, in a parking lot, and then you got in the car, and then you actually started to move with the car. I think you got one rehearsal with the car, actually driving around. What was it like actually kind of managing to drive around, film? I mean, I imagine people watching and going, what the hell's going on here? And then at the same time, having all your different actors in different positions around Los Angeles, and also kind of working with the traffic. That must have just been crazy to get all that. to
was just
work.
a lot. Oh my gosh, you're exactly right. And like every time we think about it, like my heart rate increases massively. But it just took a lot of time, and a lot of dedication. And I think, if you do it repetitively enough, you kind of see the intricacies of what could go wrong, especially at what part of this journey. But I don't know if we probably haven't told you this, but we practiced this, Alex especially and I, for a month leading up to it, and then we brought the actors on a couple weeks before. But then everything changed the night before we shot because Los Angeles reopened bars due to COVID. Bars were shut down forever, and then the night we started shooting were the first time bars were open. So the traffic patterns all kind of changed minute to minute, scene to scene. But like I said, it just took practice, and just kind of getting people to roll and telling them, you will most likely come up if we hit the stoplight here. You might need a spare 30 seconds of dialogue if that happens. But realistically, I didn't. In the cut we used, there wasn't many moments like that. It was pretty much script for script.
I don't know.
Was,
I beg to differ. So there's one moment in particular when
most of the time
Sean is in the back doing his thing, acting this wonderfully written, 8-minute monologue.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, the pacing is a little off that night, whether the car is driving too fast because of the street lights are getting a lot of greens, or because he's just living in that moment and just kind of feeling out the scene. But we're getting to what we built in as a point of no return in the route. So we had about a 2-block rate window where I could drop him off at any of those points, and then the story could still move within the timing of the story. So I had one more stoplight to go, which would have ruined the whole timing of the movie, and there would have been too big of a gap, and it wouldn't have been salvageable. And I see this red light coming, and I know Sean has no concept of how the route is being paced, and so I have to communicate to the lead car, who has the people on monitor, has our sound guy, our stage manager, like all these things. We have to kind of stay in. So I have to get this guy to do a U-turn without being able to communicate to him. So I'm flashing my high beams at him. Sean's in the back finishing up the monologue, and I'm like, if we get through that red light if we go through that red light, the movie's over. And I'm panicking, but like, you can't see it because I can't show that, but I'm just trying to get him to do that U-turn. And all of a sudden, right before he goes through the intersection, he whips a U-turn. And in my mind, I was like, yes, we're still good. We got it. We saved it. But on my face, it's just like listening to Sean,
Well,
so
you pulled that off really well, because that must have been so, I mean, you must have been so focused on getting your lines right, because you said you kind of followed the script to a T as much as you could. But to be able to kind of flash the lights at the same time and think about the traffic, that was just, I can't even believe you pulled that off. Crazy.
Yeah, so it is kind of like when you learn how to juggle, you start with 2 or 3 balls. You don't start with 8. But we had like those months of prep where I learned that route and I learned that script and I knew everything. So I'm like, when I'm juggling 8 things, it's like I took the time to get those 8 balls up in the air. And then when something goes wrong, like, someone kicks you in the balls while you're trying to juggle, you could just kind of keep going.
Was there any kind of anything specific that happened in the film that you kept in because it was kind of something that you didn't expect to happen, but it happened and it really worked in your favor, and you decided to keep it in the film? Anything that you could mention that wouldn't give any of the plot away, for example?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. At least in the night that we used, because we did record 3 consecutive nights. I'm trying to think. I mean, there was definitely minor flubs, but it was kind of more performance-wise that we were able to pick up on. But I know in the other nights that we used, like, there were certain cars that would come in at moments that we definitely didn't want them to be in there. But as far as this night, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it pretty much went as well as it possibly could have.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot we could take in or pull out of the movie because there was no cutting. So it was just, it was what it was. And I think that just trying to get it captured was the goal, and not too much different than what we planned, which was kind of wild.
Oh, brilliant. And then obviously I know that you've got a production company together, Spam Pictures, no?
It should be Scam. That's funny. I like that.
Spam Pictures. So how did that come about? And I was reading that you hopefully want to get another production on the ground fairly soon. I was looking in a previous interview, you were either going to do something in a similar kind of genre, or if not, a completely different genre, rom-com genre. Is that right?
Yeah, that was kind of, I always told Alex that's my approach as a writer, it was to never kind of categorize yourself into one genre. I mean, I love all genres of film. I truly, truly do. And I've kind of gone back and forth with him, telling him, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. I think realistically, it might be wise for us to kind of stick in the same sort of genre, the thriller and the kind of the adding some comedic elements into that. But yeah, venture down the road, I would love to tackle everything, every possible thing. I don't know.
Uh-huh. And in terms of writing, is this something? Are these things that you've already written, or when you dive into a project? I mean, like you said, that you got together with Alex, and you said you want to write something for him. Do you work on various things at the same time, or do you kind of focus yourself on one specific thing that you want to tackle, or do you have kind of various scripts on the go at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I have like, roughly 6 that we could throw out there right now, but
Right.
I personally am focusing on one, but you never know. Something like, for instance, last month, something else came to my plate. I'm like, okay, never mind, put that on shelf and I'll bust this out in a week. So it's kind of like whatever comes at us, we'll go with. But there's definitely a couple projects that I would like to focus on for sure.
Uh-huh. And just before I go, I've seen that you've got plenty of Army of Darkness and Evil Dead stuff back there. Have you got, is any of
Such a
those projects,
fanboy.
any of those on the thing as well? Yeah. Have you got any of those projects? Are they horror? Is that something that you'd look to dive really deep into a pure horror movie?
I spent 10 years making short horror films based on feature screenplays that I wrote, and it's still probably like I love the genre more than anything. It's kind of what got me into making movies and what made me love movies. So I would love to make a horror film, but it's challenging, man. The horror audience is tough, but I would love to make a true horror film one day.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations again on the movie. I wish you the best of luck with it when it comes out very soon. And it's still early, but everyone's saying Happy Christmas or Happy Christmas. And I hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
Thank you so much, Howard. Truly.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care of
Howard.
yourself. Hope to speak to you again sometime soon. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you.